Most of us imagine a stroke as a sudden catastrophe, a shock in the middle of an otherwise normal day, a collapse that comes without warning. But that picture is misleading. Strokes have a favorite hour, and it isn't dramatic at all. It's the quiet, unremarkable moment, right after you open your eyes. More strokes strike in the first stretch of the morning than at any other point in the day. And that isn't chance, it's biology. Your body quietly sets the stage against you the moment you wake. Then, without realizing it, most people stack a handful of everyday habits right on top of that vulnerable window. I'm Dr. William Lee, and this is Senior Medical Insight. After decades spent caring for patients, I've watched this exact pattern unfold again and again. The stroke never truly comes out of nowhere. It's quietly assembled, morning after ordinary morning, over the course of years. So today, I'll walk you through why early morning is the riskiest stretch of the day for a stroke after 60. Then I'll break down the specific morning habits I see repeated in my older patients, habits that raise that risk even further without anyone noticing. Some will sound almost too simple, things you've done automatically for years. And I'll tell you now, the final one is the habit almost nobody takes seriously, and it may matter more than all the others combined. But first, before any of that, I want to give you the earliest warning sign of a morning stroke. The one that gets dismissed as nothing so that you can recognize it in yourself or someone you love while there's still time to act. Your blood pressure, your circulation, how your body handles the transition from sleep to waking after 60. These are the exact questions my patients bring to me every day. I've gathered what I tell them into a single, complete guide to living stronger and healthier after 60 Es, covering 28 of the things that genuinely shift as we age: blood pressure, blood sugar, memory, balance, and more. Thousands of people are already using it to feel steadier and more in control of their health. You'll find the link on your screen, and I'll leave it in the description below as well. Here's the one idea I want you to carry through this entire video, because once it clicks, every habit we discuss will make immediate sense. A stroke, the common kind, happens when a clot cuts off blood flow to part of the brain. For that clot to form and cause damage, three conditions have to line up at once. Your blood needs to be thick enough to clot easily. Your blood pressure needs to spike hard enough to strain the vessels or dislodge a clot. Your blood flow needs to slow down and pool long enough for trouble to build. Thicker blood, a pressure spike, sluggish flow, that's the entire formula. Here's why dawn is so dangerous. Your body hands you two of those three ingredients automatically before you've even gotten out of bed. Overnight, you go 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours without a single sip of water, all while continuing to lose moisture through breathing. By the time you wake, your blood is more concentrated, thicker than at any other point in the day. That's ingredient 1, delivered for free. Then, right as you're waking, your body releases a wave of cortisol, your primary stress hormone, to help you get moving. Cortisol pulls your blood pressure up along with it. Physicians call this the morning surge. That's ingredient 2. So you open your eyes already carrying thicker blood and climbing pressure, 2 of the 3 risk factors, active before you've done anything at all. I call this stretch the dawn window, and it runs from the moment you wake through roughly mid-morning. A large analysis pooling more than 30 separate studies, published in a leading stroke research journal, found that strokes are nearly 50% more likely to occur during these morning hours than pure chance would predict. Same person, same body, just a far riskier hour. You can't switch off the cortisol surge. That's simply how the body works. But the third ingredient, sluggish blood flow, along with the habits that thicken blood and spike pressure even further, is almost entirely within your control. That's what the rest of this video is about. If you take away only one thing from today, let it be this. The earliest sign of a morning stroke, the one that shows up first and gets ignored the most, is far quieter than the dramatic collapse most people picture. It's a small, easy-to-dismiss loss of coordination. You reach for your toothbrush and your hand lands slightly off target. You lift your coffee cup and it dribbles a little at the corner of your mouth. You try to button a shirt and your fingers feel clumsy, a half beat behind where your mind wanted them to be. It doesn't hurt. Nothing about it feels dramatic, which is exactly why it's so easy to explain away as fatigue, arthritis, or simply not being fully awake yet. But every smooth, coordinated movement your body makes is directed by your brain. When a movement suddenly turns clumsy for no clear reason, that can be your brain signaling that blood flow to it just briefly flickered. I remember a patient, not someone who came in because he felt ill, but because his wife insisted he see me. She'd noticed him fumbling with his shirt buttons in the mornings and dropping his keys more often. A few days before that, he'd tried to jot down a grocery list and, for a moment, couldn't remember how to spell an ordinary word. No headache, no slurred speech. Nothing that screamed emergency, but something was clearly off. To his credit, he came in rather than shrugging it off. It turned out he'd experienced what doctors call a transient ischemic attack, a brief blockage that resolves on its own, but functions as a genuine warning shot. That's precisely what this kind of episode is. A stroke that reverses itself before causing lasting damage and hands you a narrow window to act. The days immediately following one of these episodes carry the highest risk of a full stroke, which is exactly why this kind of event should never be brushed aside. Getting evaluated quickly is what determines the outcome. So the subtle version, the clumsy hand, the dribble, the off feeling means get checked without delay. The loud, unmistakable version has a name worth memorizing, and it spells out the word fast. F is for face. Does one side droop? A is for arms. Does one drift downward when both are raised? S is for speech. Does it sound slurred or unusual? T is for time, and time means calling emergency services immediately. Don't wait to see if it passes. Every minute a stroke goes untreated, brain function is being lost. That single word, fast, could save a life this year. Now let's move to the habits, because the entire point is to keep yourself far away from that dangerous window in the first place. The most common habit I see is reaching for coffee before drinking any water at all. Think back to what we covered. You wake up with the thickest blood you'll have all day, simply because you've gone the whole night without fluids. Your body is already asking to be rehydrated, and most people walk right past the water and head straight for the coffee pot. Coffee itself isn't the enemy, and I'm not suggesting anyone over 60 give up their morning cup. But coffee acts as a mild diuretic, gently prompting your kidneys to release more water. So on the one morning your blood is already at its thickest, the first thing you consume pulls out a bit more water and nudges your pressure upward, right as your body is already surging on its own. You end up feeding 2 of the 3 risk ingredients before breakfast is even on the table. The fix costs nothing and takes 10 seconds, before the coffee, before the medication, before you even check your phone. Drink 1 full glass of water, room temperature or slightly warm, not ice cold. You're thinning that thickened morning blood back toward normal and taking the edge off the entire dangerous window. Keep the glass on your nightstand so it's the first thing you see. Water first, coffee second. That one small switch quietly removes one of the 3 ingredients from the table. The second habit involves the literal physical act of getting out of bed. Many people, the instant the alarm sounds, sit straight up and stand immediately. After 60, that abrupt shift is a bigger deal than it seems. Moving from lying flat to standing in one motion forces your blood pressure to correct itself quickly to keep blood reaching your brain against gravity. In younger bodies, that adjustment happens almost instantly. Older blood vessels are stiffer and slower to respond, so for a few seconds, pressure can swing sharply. And a swinging pressure during the dawn window is exactly what we're trying to avoid. It's also a common cause of falls, that gray, dizzy moment at the edge of the bed. There's a second version of this that concerns me even more, and it happens in the bathroom. Straining, bearing down hard while using the toilet first thing in the morning, which is common, sharply spikes blood pressure for those few seconds of effort. I've seen strokes occur in that exact moment, going from lying still to straining hard with no transition in between. So slow the whole process down before you even sit up. While still lying in bed, pump your ankles a few times and flex your toes to get circulation moving upward. Sit on the edge of the bed for a slow count before standing. Roll your shoulders and let your body catch up. And avoid holding your breath and straining in the bathroom. If things feel sluggish in the morning, that's usually a sign you need more water and fiber, something to address upstream rather than by forcing the issue. 2 quiet minutes of easing into the day removes the sharpest pressure swings you'll face. The third habit is taking morning medications on a completely empty stomach, sometimes going hours without eating anything at all. This one catches a lot of disciplined, health-conscious people because plenty of patients take pride in skipping breakfast. Either they're not hungry or they've heard that fasting is beneficial. In a younger body with stable blood sugar, that can be true. But after 60, your body regulates blood sugar less steadily, and your brain runs almost entirely on that sugar while storing very little of it in reserve. So when blood pressure or diabetes medication is taken on an empty stomach with no food to follow, it can push your sugar or your pressure lower than intended, right during the most fragile window of your day. That's when people feel lightheaded, foggy, or unsteady. And unsteady after 60 is often how a fall happens. I'm not suggesting a large breakfast. I'm suggesting giving your body something small to stand on before the day starts pulling at it. Half a boiled egg, a spoonful of yogurt, a few walnuts soaked overnight. Just enough protein to help stabilize blood sugar while the medication does its work. If you take several pills each morning, ask your own doctor which ones genuinely require food and which don't, because the answer varies by medication and matters more than most people assume. A little something in the tank gives the medicines something to work with, instead of working against an empty body. The fourth habit isn't something most people even consider a health habit. It's reaching for stress before your feet hit the floor. You know the pattern, grabbing the phone off the nightstand and opening the news before your eyes have fully focused. Reading email at the breakfast table, arguing about the day's schedule before anyone's had a glass of water. We treat all of that as completely normal. But remember where your body already sits at that hour. Cortisol elevated, pressure climbing, vessels tightened. Now, on top of a body that's already at its most stressed on its own, you add a jolt of worry, frustration, or unsettling news. A major international study examining stroke patients across dozens of countries found that psychological stress was among the small handful of factors that together accounted for the overwhelming majority of stroke risk worldwide. Stress is a genuine physical push on blood pressure. In a body already primed at dawn, it's one more shove at precisely the wrong moment. So build a buffer, not a lecture about meditation, just 10 quiet minutes at the start of the day that belong to your body before they belong to the world. Drink your water, sit with your coffee, look out a window, stretch. Let the surge settle before piling worry on top of it. The phone and the news will still be there in 10 minutes. Let the most dangerous stretch of your day pass calmly instead of lighting a fire in the middle of it. And now, the final habit, the one I told you almost nobody takes seriously, and the one that ties this entire video together, stillness. Physical stillness during the first hour or two after waking. Here's the picture. You get up, pour your coffee, settle into a chair with the news or your phone, and stay there. Sometimes for an hour, sometimes 2. It feels completely harmless. It might even feel healthy, like a gentle way to ease into the day. After retirement especially, this often becomes the entire shape of the morning. But go back to the formula: thick blood, a pressure spike, and sluggish flow. We've addressed the first 2. This habit is the third one, sitting out in plain sight. When you stay still, blood that's already at its thickest for the day slows down further and begins to pool, especially in your legs. Your veins have no pump of their own. The only mechanism pushing blood back up out of your legs and keeping it circulating is your muscles contracting as you move. Sit motionless, and that pump shuts off. Still, thickened blood is exactly the condition that allows a clot to form. Hospitals have understood this for decades. It's why patients are encouraged to get up and walk soon after surgery, because prolonged stillness allows clots to form in the legs, and a clot that forms in a still leg can travel. Your living room isn't a hospital bed, but during the dawn window after 60, your body doesn't always draw a clear distinction. Here's the part that genuinely surprised even me when I first learned it. Leading heart health organizations now treat long stretches of sitting as an independent risk factor for stroke and heart disease in its own right. And strikingly, that risk holds true even for people who exercise later in the day. Afternoon exercise helps, but it doesn't fully cancel out a morning spent sitting motionless. What matters just as much is not letting blood pool in the first place. And the single most important time to keep it moving is the morning, the exact window we've been discussing this entire video. So here is the most protective thing I can offer you, and it costs nothing. In the first hour after waking, move, gently, nothing strenuous. March in place by the counter while the coffee brews. Roll your shoulders, reach your arms overhead, walk to the end of the driveway and back. 5 to 10 minutes of easy motion switches your leg pump back on, keeps blood circulating instead of pooling, and removes that third ingredient from the table entirely. Move the blood and you thrive. Let it sit, and you're quietly raising the risk. Of everything in this video, if you take away only one action, let it be this one, this idea. That small morning movements protect your brain is just one piece of the larger plan I've put together, one topic out of the 28 that genuinely shift after 60, sitting alongside blood pressure, balance, sleep, and more. If today's discussion resonated with you, the link is in the description, and I've pinned it at the top of the comments as well, so it's easy to find whenever you're ready. No rush, it'll be there. Let's assemble the whole routine in order, so it's simple enough to put into practice tomorrow. The moment you wake, before anything else, drink 1 full glass of water to thin the morning blood. Rise slowly, pump your ankles while still lying down, sit on the edge of the bed for a slow count, and never bear down or strain in the bathroom. Put something small in your stomach, a bite of protein, before or alongside your morning medication. Give yourself 10 quiet minutes before reaching for your phone or the news. And most importantly, in that first hour, move, march, stretch, walk to the mailbox, anything that keeps blood from pooling. Look at what those 5 changes accomplish together. Thickened blood thinned by water. Pressure spikes softened by rising slowly and staying calm. Sluggish flow broken up by early movement. All 3 ingredients a stroke requires, pulled apart before you've even finished your coffee. None of it costs $1. None of it requires a prescription. It simply takes awareness of what your body is doing at dawn while you're still half asleep. That's the real message here. A stroke after 60 rarely arrives without warning. It's built quietly, out of ordinary mornings. And those same mornings, the ones that quietly build the risk, are exactly where you hold the most power to take it apart.